Hello, welcome to Matthew Explores, here with another round of History and a Pint. Today we're at Norman's Bay in East Sussex, a quiet seaside hamlet with stories of war, whales, wrecks, marshes and smugglers. And at the heart of it all is this little gem, the Star Inn. But hold that pint, let's wander through history, just a few minutes walk away. The Norman's Bay wreck. Out there beneath the wave lies a secret treasure, the protected wreck site known as Norman's Bay Wreck. In 2005, divers free in a lobster pot discovered a huge anchor and cluster of cannons leading to one of Sussex's greatest maritime mysteries. So far, archaeologists have recorded over 50 iron cannons, timber fragments, copper sheeting, even ballast stones. But whose ship was it? Some thought it was HMS Resolution, a 70-gun English warship wrecked in a catastrophic Great Storm in 1703. But tree ring dating the timber pointed elsewhere, Germany or the Low Countries, and mid-17th century. That evidence makes the Dutch warship Wapen van Utrecht the most likely candidate. She sank during the Battle of Beachy Head in 1690. A brutal clash between the French and Anglo-Dutch fleets just off the coast here. Today the wreck is a protected site, designated so in 2006, and it even has a diver trail set up in 2011. For most of us though, we'll just admire it here from the shore and let the sea keep its secrets. And that's the Norman's Bay wreck. Moving on to our next location, the Pevensey Levels and the sluices. Let's swap the sea breeze for the marsh air. Welcome to the Pevensey Levels. At first glance, it looks like endless flat fields, winding ditches and the odd cow chewing the cud. But beneath the calm surface lies 1,000 years of human engineering, survival and the constant battle against water. Back in Roman times, this whole area was a wide tidal lagoon with the fortress and Aterium, now we call Pevensey Castle, standing proudly on its peninsula. But over the centuries, shingle built up across the bay, trapping the water and creating marshes. By the medieval period, this was a boggy, flood-prone landscape. And yet people are nothing but stubborn. Monks, farmers and later landowners built embankments, ditches and sluices to reclaim the land for grazing. The result, today the Pevensey Levels are one of the largest and most important grazing wetlands in southern England. The sluices you see here were, and still are, the control valves of the whole system. They manage the water level, stop flooding and keep the land fertile. The very name of the hamlet, Pevensey Sluices, before it became Norman's Bay, a nod to their importance. And it's not just the cows who appreciate the levels. This wildlife paradise, home to rare plants, water beetles and over 100 species of bird, from lapwings to marsh harriers. It's basically an Airbnb of the avian world. In fact, the Pevensey Levels are now designated site of special scientific interest, a protected landscape where agriculture and conservation work hand in hand. Farmers graze cattle here, as they have done for centuries, but the water levels are carefully monitored to protect both livelihoods and nature. And here's where it all links back to our point. The Star Inn began life as the sluice-keeper's house in the early 1400s. The person who lived there literally had the keys to the water gates. Without these sluices, the marshes would reclaim the land and Norman's Bay, as we know, wouldn't exist. And that's the Pevensey Levels, the whole of this area. Moving on to our next location, back down on the foreshore. A short stroll brings us face to face with Britain's answer to Napoleon Bonaparte. Martello Tower 55. Built around 1805 to 1806, it's part of a chain of 74 towers strung along the Kent and Sussex coast. Their mission, to shout a brick size "Not today, Napoleon" at any French invasion attempt. With 6-foot thick walls and its doorway 20 feet above the ground, This little fortress wasn't letting anyone in without an invite or a ladder. Inside you'd find cramped garrison quarters, storage for food and gunpowder, a cannon perched proudly on the roof. It was like a coastal Airbnb if your host happened to be an artilleryman. Fast forward to World War II and the tower was repurposed as a battery observation post, spotting enemy aircraft, watching for German landings, anti-tank blocks still linger nearby, ghosts of a more recent war. After the fighting, Tower 55 stood empty for decades until it hit the auction market in 2004 with a reserve price of $150,000. These days it's a private home. Imagine living in your very own Napoleonic bunker with sea views. That's Martello Tower No. 55, and we're staying on the shoreline here for our next piece of history. Now for one of the most extraordinary events in Norman's Bay history, the arrival of a 70-foot finback whale in November 1865. 13th of November, this giant washed ashore and it turned sleepy Norman's Bay into the talk of the region. It was a blockbuster wildlife spectacle, reportedly around 40,000 curious and somewhat nose-pinching visitors flocked to see the whale. So many trains ran for the visitors that hastily a temporary railway station was built just for viewing the whale. After the whale's flesh was stripped, the bones were reassembled and displayed in the Hastings cricket ground. People paid pennies to gape at the monster from the deep. And rumour has it, music played between its jaws, and once 68 children stood inside the mouth for a memorable photo. But the story doesn't end in Sussex. The skeleton was purchased in 1866, reportedly by Lieutenant Colonel Shakespeare on behalf of the University of Cambridge, and shipped up north. It has been part of the Cambridge University Museum of Zoology's collection ever since. It first went on display in 1896 after refurbishment and now dominates the Whale Hall in its redisplayed form. It's still one of the largest finback whale skeletons on public display, measuring around 70 feet long and weighing in at 2 tons. If you're ever wandering Cambridge, you can come face to face with the Norman's Bay's most famous visitor, proof that sometimes history washes ashore only to find a permanent home centuries later. And that's the little bit of history. Now we're heading back to our final destination, the Star Inn. This cosy spot has been here in one form or another since 1402, when it started life as the sluice-keepers' house. By 1597, it was affectionately known as the Star of Bethlehem, a rest stop for shepherds bringing their flocks across the marshes. But from the 18th to the early 19th century, this place earned a more notorious reputation and the last stronghold of the Sussex smuggling gangs. Gangs like the Little Common Gang, led by George Smack Gillingham, ran contraband through here by boat under the cover of night. On one February night in 1822, some 300 smugglers armed with cudgels clashed with government blockade men right outside this inn. The smugglers fled after a volley of carbide fire, but stories remain of a mysterious lady in a coach and 6 horses who sped away into the night. Was she a spy, smuggler, or just good theatre? And if the smugglers weren't enough, the pub had front row seats to the celebrity whale in 1865. Today the Star Inn is all crackling fires, hearty roast dinners and a pint or two enjoyed by the water's edge, but beneath the comfort lies 600 years of history, from sluice keepers to smugglers and even the odd stranded whale. So here's to Norman's Bay, where towers defied Napoleon, wrecks rest beneath the sea, marshes shaped a landscape and smugglers once ruled the night. And of course to the Star Inn, where history and a pint came together perfectly. So all what remains is to say, well, I'm having a pint of Amstel and it's described as slow brewed for extra maturity. A pint of Amstel just right for a sunny day like this, sitting in the beer garden. So if you like the video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, click that notification bell, and cheers. Until next time, bye for now.